You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Jav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Jav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. Today, with me, we got my brother, your brother, B.
Bonjour.
We got your man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, man. And we're here today, man. We're going to be talking about a lot of news that this past week just happened. We're recording on Monday, so we got some news from Monday morning. Usually we record Sunday night, but we're recording Monday morning, so we'll give you some big news on the MCU there. And then we'll talk about this horror movie we made each other watch, which is called Social Dilemma on Netflix. I promise you, if you watch it, you're going to delete some apps. So let's get into the movie news of this week. And the big news right now, first thing that we'll talk about today, came out on Deadline, was that Jonathan Majors from Lovecraft, from The Five Bloods, is signing with MCU, signing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and rumored, not sure yet, rumored to be playing possibly Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man 3, or just having a role in Ant-Man 3. As you guys know, if you're watching Lovecraft or if you've seen The Five Bloods, you know that Jonathan Majors is a really good actor. He's doing his thing right now with that Lovecraft on HBO, or that what's the HBO thing they have? HBO Max.
Yeah.
And they're saying he's possibly Kang the Conqueror. Brandon, I know you brought up Kang the Conqueror for Avengers Endgame. What's your thoughts on him coming into the MCU?
I think that's awesome. You know, I've been calling it for a long time. I mean, the second they say time travel, you're talking about Kang the Conqueror. It's gonna have to happen at some point. It's like when you open up the bottle, you can't close it. You know. So now that we have time travel, Kang the Conqueror is perfect. I think that he's gonna be he's gonna have like a role in Ant-Man 3. I don't think he's gonna be the major bad.
Right.
I think he's gonna, because of the quantum realm and how we're talking, how the quantum realm was the means of time travel for Endgame, you know, in a sense. I think
Right.
that's going to be the way of introducing him, and I think he's going to be the next big bad.
Wow. All right. And Al, you think
Because he's
this
an
Kang the
Avengers level
Conqueror-
villain.
He's supposed to be.
I was just going to say, what I was hearing of him was that he has fought every single, not only Avenger, but hero in the Marvel Universe.
Young Avengers, Thor,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, so he can't be a small time player. I could see him maybe being like who they allude to at the end of Ant-Man 3. So I'm wondering if this is, like Brandon was saying, not that he's the main bad, but he's going to be introduced in Ant-Man 3, and then somebody else will be the main like bad for that movie.
Yeah, because I'm hearing a lot of actually crazy villains for Ant-Man 3. I'm hearing MODOK, Kang the Conqueror now is the new one that I'm hearing. Also possibly, oh man, who's the guy who plays the Green Goblin? What's his real name? Norman Osborn, possibly being that the aftermarket people that were trying to buy the pieces from the lab in Ant-Man 2. So I mean, it's just a lot of possibilities out there. And it's funny because when I saw the picture of Jonathan Majors, because at first I didn't know who he was, but when they said Lovecraft, I'm like, I think I know who it was. And then they showed a picture. He's got the goatee, and I'm like, I can see Kang there. You know, when they do the back in ancient times, in the pyramid times, and in oh my God, I can't remember the name of the Egypt. Ancient
You're
Egypt
like,
times.
oh, the hell is the name of that?
I could see the little hat and the beard there being Kang the Conqueror back when he's back in the days. But I was also thinking possibly because if you guys remember when the first Ant-Man, the Michael Douglas version of Ant-Man, went to go get Janet Van Dyne from the quantum realm, there was like this little like town in a bubble kind of thing. Also, she was talking to things on her intercom. Possibly Kang is from that area, which is why I can see Ant-Man 3 having maybe Kang in it, or maybe some other type of villain. But I'm interested in seeing what they do with it. I think it's a great signing for the MCU. It also gives us some good news to talk about in these times. So MCU is bringing it back.
Yeah, I was just going to say also, they were saying, and Brandon, you probably know more about this, that in one version of Kang the Conqueror, he's Reed Richards'
He's a
kid.
Richards.
He's a Richards. So they're saying, is this going to be their
tie
by
in for
just
the
bringing him in.
Fantastic Four.
If he's their son, there's your tie into Fantastic Four, and bringing them into the MCU.
Yeah, man, awesome, man. I can't wait to see what they do with that, man. And then in other news from this past week, we got an email actually from one of our fans, one of our friends here named Mo, who sent us an email regarding that Dune trailer that just came out last week. And he put down that the Dune trailer looks great. I'm very excited about this franchise and the possibilities. He named a bunch of the actors that are in there, like Jason Momoa, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, and he says it might get him into the theaters. So that's awesome. Any reason to get back into the theaters, we'll try to take. But along with Mo's enthusiasm for the movie, man, I mean, I'm not really versed in Dune lore. I heard that there was a movie before. I don't think I've ever seen it. I know it's a book, but at the same time, I mean, from what I saw in the trailer, it did look interesting, did look cool. I wouldn't say exactly this got me waiting to see it in the theaters like Batman is. That Batman trailer was like, whoa. But at the same time, it looked good. Look, I was interested in that big worm at the end.
Yeah.
How about you, Al? What do you know about Dune, and are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, no, I was a big fan of the original movie, and you had some big names in that one. You had Sting, Patrick Stewart early on was in that movie. Even the guy that played the main protagonist of the movie, I'm drawing a blank on his name. I mean, all big, good name actors in there, and it was considering the special effects for the time, it was a good movie. I liked it, and I don't know if I'm on the level of Mo, but it's definitely something that I was looking forward to when I heard they were making a remake, especially knowing the way they could do the movies now.
Gotcha.
And bring a lot of the effects that movie has, doing it a lot better, especially those worms. The worms look a lot more sick in this version than they did in the original. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it to see it because there's a lot more story to it than what the movie ends at. So I'd want to see if they can have success on this and then bring the other stories to the big screen as well.
Gotcha. And Brandon, I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch the trailer, but what I'm hearing from this is there's a 2-part story for this movie. So if this does well, they'll make the second one, put it in there. But for the first one, I mean, this trailer looks kind of interesting for me. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really big into the fantasy genre and such. So watching this trailer, I had known of a Dune movie in the past, and I thought it was very different. I don't know what movie I had in my head, but I thought it was like a country movie with those worms. I don't know what was in my head.
You're thinking about Tremors, man.
Tremors, thank you. Because I watched the trailer and I'm like, they went a whole different route here.
Those worms are pretty big.
I was like, this is a whole different route. I was like, all right. But the trailer looked pretty cool. The action there, that CGI, I mean, it looked like they filmed it in a real desert. I mean, so kudos to them for making that look super real. And even if it is, it looks like a really strong cast. From just the trailer alone, it seems like there's a great amount of build there.
Right.
So I think with another trailer, I want to see a little bit more because like you guys said, I'm not versed in Dune. I don't know about the lore so much about it, so I don't know what to be hyped about. In terms of the character, not about the movie, but I'm not sure if this character doing certain things in this trailer, I was supposed to get really excited about. When you saw Batman put on the bat suit, kind of a thing. Those are the things you get hyped about. So I didn't know if there was something in the trailer that I was supposed to be like, oh shit, So
the big worm.
Yeah, well, the big worm. It wasn't Tremors. So I want to see another trailer because I liked the interaction he had with Jason Momoa. I liked how that kind of duality was in the trailer. I want to see where it develops. Maybe I want it to catch my interest a little bit more.
Gotcha, man. Absolutely, man. And I mean, Al, since you know a little bit about the movie, I thought one of the cool aspects of the trailer was showing them when they were fighting. It seemed like they were kind of either phasing in and out or they were doing some kind of ultra mode. Do you know anything about that?
There's something to I don't want to say witchcraft, but there was some kind of special fighting techniques and everything. There's something to, if I remember, again, was young when the movie came out, so and that's the last time I remember watching it. But there was something also to the voice and using the voice and sound as a weapon, I believe. So there's not, I don't want to say magic, but there's something that him and his family, and there's certain people, like they have certain abilities.
Right.
And they use it as part of their fighting. Like there's a lot of, I don't want to say royalty, but there's a lot of honor to stuff that they do and so forth. So it has a good story behind it. That's why I hope they can do it justice.
Gotcha.
And the effects, like I said, so there's like a device he holds and he uses his voice and it shoots with like a wave. It's like almost like a sound weapon. Yeah. So
Right.
from what I remember, again, I could be remembering this completely wrong, but I remember there was
Also
something
Tremors.
Also Tremors.
So, and then there was something with the eyes. I forgot what they do, but their eyes actually start lighting. So I don't remember seeing that in the trailer. So I'm wondering if they changed that aspect of the story. So I'm tempted to go see if I could find the original Dune streaming somewhere before this.
Check it out somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, man, that's pretty good stuff, man. So if you guys haven't seen the trailer, I'm sure you'll be able to just Google that or YouTube it, and that trailer will pop up. It's a pretty intense trailer, so give it a look there for it. And also another news there, I saw that Borat Part 2 is being made or was already made.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Very nice. Al, you looking more to that Speedo bikini outfit again?
Oh my God.
Or him stealing some kidnapping Pamela Anderson?
That was one of those movies where I forced myself to watch it because I knew it was like just all stupid humor. And it wears you down. Like the humor is so stupid. It eventually wears you down.
Like,
and
you just can't help but laugh.
You can't help but start laughing at just how stupid a lot of it is. Like the scene with him and the big guy where they're fighting and they're just kid, yeah, I think I almost threw up watching that scene.
Kiga di Casu.
So if they could bring that, if they could bring that sense of humor back, I think I'd catch this one.
All right, Brandon, how about yourself, man? Did you ever see the Borat, the first one?
I saw the first one. I am actually a big Sacha Baron Cohen fan. You know, like outside of comedy, I think he's just like a genuinely like cool person. Am I looking forward to this movie? No. Will I watch it? Probably.
Absolutely. Yeah, just see something crazy. I mean, listen, I've seen some of the antics that he's done recently, which is stuff like, go to a Trump campaign and start like some terrible racist song and have the crowd follow him. You know what I mean? Like he's doing dumb stuff still. So I wonder if that's all part of it, or because I've been hearing him doing like little things here and there, and you find out on the internet that he did this and it's on like, somewhere re-recorded. But I wonder if that's all part of this movie. But if not, I mean, still, if he's playing that character of Borat again, I remember the first time I saw it, I think this is when I was like 25 years old, 26 years old, a few years back. And I went to the theater to see the first Borat, and I just was completely caught off guard because I didn't understand the humor at first. And then as soon as you just get past the silliness, you're there losing your damn mind laughing. So I'm hoping it's a good one there.
When you realize it's not Oscar potential, you start to have a good time.
Oh man. And then the next bit of news there, man, kind of hurts me to even say it, man, because we kind of all thought it. And that's going into Star Wars and the whole last 3 movies of the saga there. We're talking about The Last Jedi. We're talking about what was the first one called? Force
Awakens, Last Jedi, and
you called The Reckoning.
I try to forget
Star Wars: The Reckoning, Episode 7.
Only the first one of those 3 was good, man. The freaking Force Awakens was amazing. But it turns out, they were interviewing Rey. I think it was Josh Gad, actually, who was interviewing her. So he was interviewing the character. I forgot her name right now, Daisy Ridley. And he was asking her about Rey and how that story was supposed to go and how everything was written. Did she know that she was always going to be the granddaughter of
Palpatine?
A Palpatine there. And apparently she was supposed to be just originally a nobody or someone that came from just a regular person or a regular person that had the Force in them, which is an interesting concept. But they said that while they were filming these movies, throughout the movies, it was kind of like weaving in and out that either she was a Kenobi or she was a Skywalker somehow, or they didn't even know what they were doing with it. They just kind of like went with the flow. And then when they got towards the end, they decided to make her a Palpatine, which, by the way, at the end of the movie, she completely disregards.
She's like, "Fuck you, I'm a Skywalker."
She's like,
Can't do that.
you have to own who you are. What's your name?
Yeah.
Skywalker.
That's a good one, right?
There
That's a good
goes
name.
so
That's a good
much
name.
for owning who you are. You're supposed to
Yeah.
be Palpatine. But anyway,
Windu.
yeah, give me my purple saber. Now, man, as you know, diehard Star Wars fans that we are, does it
Yeah.
bother you to know? Do you even care anymore now that there really wasn't a complete story laid out, written to go?
Nah.
It's just kind of like on the fly.
No, well, you could tell that was the case. I mean, you had three different, when they originally laid out the three movies, they were going to have three different directors,
Right.
and you knew that they didn't have a story throughout. And even if you did, you were going to have three different interpretations of that story. So it was kind of, I mean, the first one kind of showed that they weren't really taking it as an extension of the Skywalker saga, because you didn't have a Skywalker in the movie except for Leia, and even she was very limited in the movie. So to have it as the Skywalker saga continued, it was looking bleak. And then when they brought out Last Jedi, that one really showed to me that they had no plan of a continuous story or plot.
Yeah.
I liked the premise that they were looking at, that a lot of people were throwing out there originally, which was the only alternative to her being a Skywalker that would have made sense to me if you're talking about a Skywalker saga, was if she were a Kenobi. If she somehow were, because it would have followed the same pattern and would have had the same beat of the first three, which was a Kenobi training and guiding a Skywalker and helping redeem them. So you would have had the same thing, because you would have had Ridley playing Rey coming along and helping redeem Ben, a Skywalker, back to the light. So if you had done that, then at least you could have said, okay, we didn't like it because of whatever, because nobody's going to like everything, but at least it would have had a continuation of the feeling and storyline from the original three, not the prequels, but the original three.
Yeah, some kind of like linear structure, some symmetry to the story, something.
Yeah, I mean, they let too much of the social, don't get me wrong, I'm not against social conscious, elements being put into a movie and so forth, but they went too heavy with that. They just stay with the story. If you want to include some kind of, story in terms of modern times and push a certain, political statement, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But they went too hard with it in terms. I mean, the girl from the very first scene could do nothing wrong. She was always so strong with the Force, and that's where I think they made their biggest flaw. She had no development.
Mm-hmm.
You made her
just
strong.
was.
She was strong, and then you made her stronger. Like, that was all you did. Even with Luke, you showed him as an incompetent person getting blasted by the toy ball that was floating around as he was learning to use the Force and use the lightsaber and everything. You had him losing fights as he was learning. I mean, he lost his hand in a fight, because he wasn't ready. And here you are having her take on Palpatine after a handful of training sessions and beating him. So it's am I surprised about this news? No.
No.
Because you felt it. If you were a fan of the whole Star Wars storyline, you felt it going through each movie that there wasn't really anything being told in any of these stories. There was no central theme throughout the three movies.
Gotcha, man. And Brandon, man, for yourself, man, you're just as big of a Star Wars fan as the rest of us there, man. I mean, I think we all were kind of hoping she was a Kenobi, because it would have made sense. Like Al said, part of the story was, redeeming the Skywalkers there. So it would have been a great little thing there. But what's your take, Brandon? I mean, how do you feel about knowing that there really wasn't a plan?
I mean, it just confirms what we thought the whole time. To be honest, from the first movie, it set in place all these things. And if you really watch The Force Awakens, there's no real structure to it. It's just, we're going to rehash episode 4, but the way it flows through the movie is almost too similar to the fact where you just kind of like, oh, they're just going with the flow, and in your head you're like, oh, it's the new generation's episode 4. You kind of think of that, but then it's just how they twined all the characters into meeting each other and this and that, and you almost saw it as a sake for, we just need a reason to get Harrison Ford, back on screen. We just need a reason to have Han Solo and Chewbacca there. We just have a kind of a reason to have Leia. So it seemed forced from the get-go, but you wanted to see how the pieces fit together. And then the second The Last Jedi hit, you realize that there was no plan for any of these people. I think the only thing that seemed like we all were going to see was a redemption plot for Ben Solo. We all knew that was going to happen. Right. Just the nature of it, of his character. But I think for Finn, for Poe, for Rey, like it was always just kind of up in the air, like what their importance was, especially come The Last Jedi. Like, what was Finn's even role in that movie?
I think he's I think he's upset right now, and
he's very upset.
Been upset, but I heard there's something going on where he's saying like they didn't have a trajectory for his character at all.
And they made him seem so important.
Yeah.
Because he was the other character. He was the other protagonist, They made him seem like he was so big only to do nothing in any of the last 2 movies. He did nothing. I understand he brought these people and there was hope and there was this. And there's always hope in Star Wars. It's always a thing. But like,
you're over it, Brandon. You're over hope.
He didn't do anything. Well, no, but I mean, like, it was like, you can see there was no plan for any of these people. They were just winging it for whatever purposes, whether it was marketing, for products and toys, and all those kind of accessories and all those things for you to buy. You can tell that they were kind of riding on the coattails of what Marvel could do for Disney.
Yeah, except Disney has a plan. Marvel has a plan.
Marvel always
has a plan.
Kevin Feige is the plan. That's he's the truth.
Oh my God! Listen, man, I would have really appreciated a thorough story. I get what they were trying to do is be like, oh, let everyone, all these different directors have their little takes on Star Wars to kind of bring it to different places, but to not have an idea straight across, especially if you're going to make 3 movies in this saga, is just ridiculous. Because look at what that guy did with the second one. I know there's a lot of people who do like it, but there's more people who don't. It just seems like it's just crazy. And then
not saying you're wrong, but
and then the third movie to completely be like, screw the second one. Don't worry about what you heard there. We're gonna do it this way. It just was ridiculous, honestly. But yeah, man, that's Star Wars, man. We hope for the best, man. These High Republic thing, but keep up with.
You said the word hope.
Oh. Oh man, and now from worst to worst news. Man, Tenet, it messed it up for everybody, man. As hopeful as we were to see movies back in the theater, Tenet coming back out in the theater, and we thought that we would get a chance to go see it. We live in New York, no movie theaters yet, so September 14th, 15th now, and still no theaters. So we don't get a chance to watch Tenet, and it's not on video on demand, so boo. But because of Tenet releasing and the numbers that it's putting out, Brandon just told me they're not even putting out any more numbers for Tenet anymore.
They're not even releasing the numbers. They don't want you to know.
It's been so bad, the outcome of this. Then, I think Al was the one who said it first last week. He's afraid what's going to happen to these other movies that are going to come out. Even Mulan on Disney Plus did bad. So are we even going to see these movies online now? And it doesn't look good. So, of course, with the numbers that are coming in for Tenet, here we go. Wonder Woman 84 was supposed to come out first week next month, October 2nd, now being pushed back until Christmas time. And that's hopefully, right? Hopefully Christmas time, depending on what's going on with the pandemic, and to see if things come back up like they think they think it will. It's supposed to be coming back with the flu season and all this, people being indoors now that the weather's going to get colder. So their thinking is that the coronavirus will spread more and people will get it again. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully not. But Wonder Woman 84 is being pushed to Christmas time. Also, if Sony executives are stating that any movie that costs more than $200 million to make with marketing and everything else, they're not even going to release it until theaters are back to normal. So there goes Ghostbusters, Morbius, and Venom 2. So, guys, Brandon, what's your thoughts with Tenet messing it up?
I mean, it was overzealous. You know, we all knew that without the majority of movie theaters being able to open, how well was it going to do? You know, we understand the international market, but it's not that much better, you know, unless you're in New Zealand, you know, like unless you're in New Zealand where there is no coronavirus, apparently.
Be careful with New Zealand, Brandon. We have fans in New Zealand.
I
They
know.
listen to the
Well,
podcast.
I listen. I love New Zealand. I wish I could be in New Zealand, not coronavirus alone, but just in general. I love New Zealand.
Right.
But you know, internationally, how much better did they assume they were going to do? You know, people weren't going to flock to the movie theaters when people were still sick. I didn't see the point in rushing it. I understand that the movie itself, like, you know, we've talked about this, that it was said you have to watch the movie with that movie theater sound, that movie theater quality with that screen. And I get it. I would love to see it that way too. But if the majority of the people in the world don't have the ability to see it, it wasn't going to make any money. You know, I think it made 20 million last week on the opening weekend, and now they won't even report how much it made. So what, did it even hit 1 million, you know, at that point?
Yeah, I mean, Al, they're saying that there's a lot of people who don't even know that it's out in theaters. There's a lot of people who don't even know that theaters are open. Actually, like every other day, I check my movie app to see where I can see certain movies. And New Jersey's, there's a couple places in New Jersey that are open, but I'm not driving.
There's a place in Connecticut you have to pay $150 to rent out the theater for you and your friends.
Oh my!
The one guy, someone was reviewing him. I think they were reviewing Tenet. And they literally spent the $150 for him and his girlfriend. You know, like, so you could reserve in Connecticut. You could reserve a theater.
Oh man, I need better friends.
Oh Jesus!
Al, man, what you thinking, man?
Well, I mean, that was the problem. A lot of people were hoping that just the strength of Tenet as the draw would bring people in. But to what Brandon was saying, if you're not going to have the majority of California come in, if you're not going to have New York coming in, you're not going to get the turnout domestically you're going to need to have this movie be a success. And that 20 million was actually a week and a half worth of data, and included, I think, Canada as well. And then when they just reported this week's numbers from this weekend, it was $6 million in sales, and they said it was a 29% drop from the week before. So that means realistically, the weekend before, when they were trying to say 20 million, it only made like 9 million. Yeah. So when you're talking about a movie like Tenet, that every other theater was saying, every movie company was saying, okay, let's see how Tenet does, and we'll decide whether we're going to release our big movies. There's no way you're going to do it. You need these movies at that level to be making $300, $400, $500 million to turn a profit. 20 million over 10 days, dropping to 6 million the weekend after.
And now they won't even report the number.
That's what I'm saying. Because think about it. Can you imagine what next week's numbers are? Because you got to imagine you've already gotten whoever was going to come out and maybe gotten them again, and you still drop to 6 million for a weekend. So imagine what next week and the week after is going to be. So you either have to leave Tenet in there for the rest of the year, which is what I've heard people saying, that we may go back to the days when a movie stood in the theater a year, you know, which that'll help the movie theater because they start making the theaters themselves, because they start making more money the longer a movie stays in the theater. So they can start recouping something. But what does that do for the movie firm?
What is that total loss?
Do they start pursuing that
insane.
deal? Do they start, actually more of them start pursuing that deal that AMC was throwing out there, saying, oh, wait, after 14 days, I can, what was it, 14, 17 days? That they
Something
can decide.
like that. It was like 3 weekends.
That if it's not doing well, I don't have to wait the 3 months. I could just throw it on streaming, and try to at least recover some of my money that way. More movie companies going to jump on that now, or they're going to just say what like Sony did. Okay, hold up, we're not releasing anything. We'll just hold this back, and to save money, they just don't make movies either. The ones they got made, shelf, and pause any production of new movies until this is all done. This way they don't lose money either.
Yeah, man, I see what you guys are saying, and you can't even really be that mad at Sony for saying the truth, right? At least they're being upfront. This movie cost $200 million to make, and I'm going to put it in theaters for it to make $20 million, and who knows what happens after that? Why even take the chance, And especially if everyone can't see it.
Trying to recoup loss.
If everyone can't see it, you have to at least wait till every state is open, especially the big markets, 15 people in Kentucky are not going to make this a seller, you know what I mean? Like, so we need New York, we need California, you need the big states, you need pretty much everybody to be able to go see this movie, and if this thing is going to go the way people think, we're not seeing movies back until possibly next summer, So
that's what
just
saying,
terrible.
Yeah.
Just terrible. By any chance, just for my own knowledge, do either of you know when New York theaters are going to open?
Not at all.
No date. No date.
Yeah. I'm scared to go, so that's why I'm kind of not even looking for the date, because even if it came, I don't know. I'm not basically going.
Yeah. I hear you, man.
So.
We're all going to Connecticut, renting a theater. 150. Let's do it.
150.
They selling hazmat suits?
I got those shields, man. Don't worry. Oh man, yeah. Listen, that's the movie news for this movie news for this past week there, and also from Monday, a little special one there because I held the podcast back a day. So now we're gonna talk about this movie that we all watched this week, which was called The Social Dilemma. And man, I'm terrified right now. So here I am thinking I'm just going to watch a normal documentary and just, have the fellas have something to watch and enjoy. Man, I almost didn't want to believe what I was hearing and seeing. So let's get right into the thing. Let's do a quick review. Honestly, you know what? We'll do spoilers on this one, because I think if people don't watch the documentary, they probably still need to hear some of this stuff. So warning for anyone who wants to see The Social Dilemma, we're going to get into it because you'll probably still watch it if you hear this stuff. And if you don't want to watch it, at least you still heard it. I'm terrified of MySpace. I'm terrified of Facebook, Instagram.
I'm terrified of MySpace. That shit hasn't been even open in like a decade. That domain's been closed.
I'm done with my notifications from Instagram. This is terrifying stuff, man. These are all. So what Social Dilemma is they're interviewing a bunch of different executives, people who worked in the industry of the social media, which is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Google was a big one in there. And these are the people who work on the programs or the ways that they get your attention to keep watching, engagement, to keep seeing you plug away and swipe away on these apps. And I found it very, very interesting to hear certain things. Like one of the things that came out in this movie was that Google, for me in New York, is different for Google for someone else that lives in, say, South Dakota, North Carolina, South Carolina, right? If I type in climate change, it'll say climate change and how to help and all this stuff for me. But in one of these so-called red states, it'll say climate change is a hoax as their first option. And I thought that's insane. I figured it would just take the most popular thing across the world of what people are searching. But no, it's kind of tailored to where you live and who you kind of are. And then also to hear that Facebook also kind of knows what pictures you look at, even if you don't like it. They see how long you've been on the picture to look at something. They take track of what you are watching, what you're looking at buying. Al, talk to me, Al. Talk me off the ledge of not throwing my Apple iPhone out the window.
You get, but in a way, there was a line in there, and I've heard it before, and it's the truth. It really explains why all of this is done. When you're not paying for a product, you are the product. And they said that They said that in the movie, and that's basically what it is. That's
Al,
why
say that again for me, man. If
when
you
you're
are not
not
paying for the product,
you are the
you
product.
are the product. Woo.
Yeah. So think about it. That's how Facebook is making its money. That's how Google is making its money, is all through ads. And
Oh.
the way they get their data is, well, what keeps this person engaged? So they track everything you do down to the
insane.
second, kid. So they say, oh wait, when we threw up a picture of this, he looked at that picture for 5 seconds. Throw up another picture. Oh look, he stayed on it for 6 seconds. Throw up another. So they just keep throwing to see what keeps you on there longer, because the longer you stay on the app, the longer you stay engaged, the more ads you're seeing. You don't realize it, but they're throwing ads on the side. They're throwing ads in the stream, in the video, between each picture. Sometimes they'll throw an ad. So the longer
For the
you
video.
yeah,
Before the video, right?
yeah, the more you scroll, the more you stay involved in the app, the more money they're making, and that's all there is about, is them making money.
Brandon, anything about this documentary that kind of caught you by surprise, or you pretty much expected all of this stuff?
I mean, for someone, so for those who don't know, I used to work at Apple a long time ago, and it's just built into the culture. When you have your iPhone, it's have these apps, use this, use that, and if you're not doing that, you're not connected. And you need to be connected, especially if you're young, or if you want to make something of yourself in business, in entertainment, or anything. You have to be on these things. You have to have your profile. You have to be active always. You have to post pictures every day, make stories. You have to make TikToks. You have to do all these things in order to be relevant, in order for someone to notice you, right? So and that's the way they position it to people, so that way they get the return on it. That's how they get you there, because you're a nobody unless you get likes. You're a nobody unless someone's sharing your post. You're a nobody unless you can get 75 people per second looking at your videos or your pictures. So they position it that you can't be successful unless you got a lot of likes on this thing. You are as important as social and engaged you are as with the number of people following you. And that's always been the truth since the App Store came out with Facebook and Instagram for you to download. So for me, like, I have never really been a social media kind of guy. I have accounts. I don't care. But I'm the guy who will also, if I got nothing else to do, I'll just swipe up and down. I'll see the pictures. I might not like them. I might not do anything. But me engaging in that is also telling myself that if I have nothing else to do, I should be on my phone. So it's not, if I have nothing to do, I should go somewhere. I should work out. I should read a book. I should play an instrument. No, if I have nothing to do, I should be on this.
Put that thing away, Brandon. Don't you put that godforsaken thing on the screen, Brandon. Freaking stop.
Yeah. The one thing I was surprised that they didn't bring up was, I don't know if y'all have heard this, where people are afraid of Facebook listening, because I know I've experienced this, kid.
Facebook.
I will have a conversation about xylophones. Never have spoken about xylophones in my life. 5 seconds later, I'm getting 20. No, but kid, what I'm saying is, 20 seconds later, 5 ads for a xylophone.
No.
Do you want to buy a xylophone? Xylophone's on sale. Meanwhile, how do you even know? So I know of a lot of people that are afraid that their phone is always listening to them, because,
and it is.
Kid.
Listen, I've been looking up stuff for working out, and every time I go on Instagram, I get the guy talking shit to me about, hey, you want to lose weight? Right? What are you eating? You working out right now? And then I go onto YouTube. The first ad that comes up is, are you a dad? Do you want to work out? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
dad's working out.
it's getting so precise that I feel like the guy's gonna say my name next time I go on there. Javier, you're watching. Click this shit, fat ass. You know what I mean? Like, it's just insane. But honestly, like, all, all jokes aside, one of the things that actually bothered me the most about it, and one of the things I do on the side right now is I'm trying to get my degree in psychology. So I'm reading about a lot about psychology stuff, of cognitive things and thought and mind and stuff like that. And the thing that freaked me out the most was the suicide rate in teenagers and children because of the entrance of social media in their lives. And to see that it's jumped 113 or 150% in 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, when it was so low, all because of the fear of either not being liked or being mocked or something, is crazy to me that it's that high ever since the social media wave that's come through everyone's phones and stuff like that. Yeah. Not only that, but also to see the way that it's being used by certain countries. One of the things they spoke about was this country, Myanmar, where people believe that the internet, when you say the internet, they think it's Facebook. They think Facebook is the internet, because when you buy your cell phone, before you leave the store, they put Facebook on your phone. And what was happening with them is that the government was putting propaganda on there to say something about a minority group. And what ended up happening within a few months is the countrymen rose up and they started killing these minority group. And I could not believe it. I didn't believe it when I saw it, that I stopped the movie. I got my computer, Googled it, and read all the newspaper articles on New York Times, USA Today, and all these different. And I was reading that this actually happened, that the country manipulated its own people to commit crimes and murders on another minority group off of just Facebook ads. Mm-hmm. What?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's crazy. And it's, without turning it into a political, it's happening here. I mean,
right now.
You hear everybody, they're citing, or you have these Congress men and women, they're going into these speeches and they're citing articles that they're reading on Facebook as their source. They're not citing a direct conversation with someone. They're not citing a piece of material they read.
They're not even citing Wikipedia.
They're citing hearsay of what they read on an article on Facebook. Yes. Without even verifying it. And that's why you have this country in the state that it is right now, because people will rather believe something that they read for 2 seconds on Facebook than actually do the research and say, that sounds fucked up. Let me look into it. Like you did. Let me look that up. Let me see what they're talking about. No. Yeah. Oh shoot, that guy that I only know through Facebook said this. That must be true. What? Why? Yeah, why? You don't even know him. You only know him through Facebook, and you're taking his word for gospel? Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, did you see the part where it was saying about what it's doing to us here in the United States, the division that is creating through social media, where if you like a certain thing on Facebook, rather than showing you things that you may not know about, it keeps feeding you the stuff that you're looking at. So if you believe... If you believe that the pandemic is just like the flu, it'll keep sending you stuff that's just like the flu. Let me tell you something. I have an employee in my office, right, who works in the hospital with me, gets the reports on the coronavirus, and says that it's no bigger than the flu. And I'm like, please don't repeat that stuff out loud. Please don't say that. You can walk across the street and see the truck that's holding the dead bodies, and you're gonna tell me that it's no better than the flu. What flu season have you seen like this?
That's the same thing. Like it was a TikTok that came out a week and a half ago. A TikTok that held a news article that said, "Oh, turns out the coronavirus only killed 6% of people."
Oh my God! Yes.
And that was a TikTok. It was a 15-second video, a TikTok, that stated this one little article, just a clipping of it, the part that said coronavirus only killed 6% of people. And then from there, well, coronavirus only killed 6% of people. I told you it was fake. Oh, it only killed 6% of people. And then you're just like, but did you read
6% of the people that have died already? So 6,000 out of the 200,000.
And it's like, and it's not even, and it was like, you had to tell people like, but you have to understand that in a medical examiner, they take the thing that is the most highly cause of your death. So if you're someone who has high blood pressure and you got coronavirus, and it seemed more likely you died of high blood pressure because of coronavirus complications. So technically you died of high blood pressure. You didn't die of coronavirus. So only 6% of people only died from coronavirus, so like people were just like, well, I told you. So it's crazy to see the way social media, the internet itself, search engines build profiles off of you because of a couple words you can type. Even if you're looking up something just to see what other people have to say about it, it starts to think that, oh, maybe you're thinking this way.
So it shows you more of that.
So it shows you more of that. And then it even gives you the craziest part is it'll see that you're on the fence, or not like on the fence, but you wanted to see other sides. It'll give you articles that pertain to both sides. It's so it's crazy. And it's like, and it's not even articles, just like Al said, it's hearsay. It's what people are writing. It's what people, not journalists, not investigators, what people are writing and sharing. It's crazy.
It's so insane, man.
Yeah, man. It just reinforces what you already think, so it gives you more of that, so that you can say, "See, I was right," because it doesn't show you the other side.
And look at all these people who agree with me.
Exactly. Yeah. So see, I was right. I was right. Like, come on. That's like when they say, like to your point, they say, "Oh, the coronavirus doesn't kill people. They died of other reasons." That's the same way of saying, okay, the guy with the gun, if someone was running away from someone with a gun, and as they ran away, they got hit by a car and died. So see, the guy with the gun had no fact. Really? Like, if he wasn't chasing them with a gun, causing them to run into the street blind, maybe they wouldn't have died. So you can't say he's totally innocent just because he didn't get to shoot them. Like, come on.
No. And I find it so fascinating that, and they admit, these guys that are talking, as their ex-employees or this, you don't want to think that they're just jaded people who are just against, Google, YouTube, Instagram, and all these things. They actually say, hey, listen, I created the like button on Facebook. Yeah. And the premise on the like button was just to say, hey, I like it. That's awesome. Not realize, just a bing, that's it. But not realizing that like button was going to put pressure on these teenagers to say, no one likes me because this person got 1,000 likes in 5 minutes and I only got 3. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. And I get that the concept of just, you're not thinking about all those things. You're just trying to create something to make it fun. But the consequences of those things is just insane. I guess the main question I want to ask you guys, Brandon, after watching The Social Dilemma, did you go on your cell phone?
I did. It was to make my notifications minimized a little bit more, and then to make some of my accounts private, and then reconsider some of the businesses that I'm a part of. I was like, shit, this one wants me to post a lot.
Al, did you grab your cell phone after watching The Social Dilemma?
Okay, I've heard a lot of these things that were in there, so I had already, like, I delete Facebook. And then only put it on when, like, I need to see something. Because, like, my wife is on Facebook, so she'll sometimes send me an article. So I will install it just so I can see the article she's sending me. And then after I read the article, I delete it. And then I'll install it again, then I delete it. I don't know how many times I've deleted and installed and deleted and installed Facebook. The only one that I tend to keep on is Instagram. And that one I've had to turn the notifications off on that one.
Yeah, actually, when I finished the movie, it was just like, one of those weird coincidences. I finished the movie, and sure enough, the little Instagram thing pops up, and it says, oh, such and such person and such person hasn't posted in a while. They just put a picture up. And I was just like, you bastards. You're trying to get me to log in.
I know what you're doing.
There was a time where I didn't use Facebook for like over a year. Yeah, and I used to get emails every 3 months from Facebook saying all the things that I'm missing out on from not being on.
Do you know what's your brother's birthday?
It was like, oh, since you've been gone, this person's gotten engaged. You should like their photo or check it out. Like, it's like,
Unbelievable.
I'm all right. I'm good, Facebook.
Yeah, I don't even bother with the Facebook anymore. The only reason I go on Facebook now is just to mess with the, the page for us, the Real Fan Review there. Which, by the way, you can find the Real Fan Review on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Like or follow.
Like or follow, subscribe below for YouTube. Um, it's so weird because we're a part of that, right? Here we are doing this on YouTube, and I'm wondering, like, did we get manipulated mentally and not know it to create a YouTube channel? It's all part of this like little game of social media, of being a part of it and doing these things, and you start to wonder, like, where has the manipulation gone to in your mind that you don't even realize that has happened, and I think we're all a little guilty of it as well, of scrolling for a half hour in a toilet, or you can't sleep. Yeah, you start scrolling and looking at stuff, and it's just to know the inner workings is a little interesting. So, anyone who's watching the podcast or listening to the podcast on your podcasting app there, I would tell you guys, you should definitely watch The Social Dilemma. I don't think you need to watch it because a lot of people are going to be turned off by the documentary. There's a little bit of corniness to it. There's like a family that's playing along with the things that are happening that they're talking about. So they have this like family that's showing you what's happening because they're doing all the stuff that they are saying is bad with social media, right? I could have done without the family. I could have done without that too. And stuff like that. Yeah. Cracking the jar for their cell phone.
Got arrested.
Oh my God, they got arrested going into a QAnon fucking conspiracy party. But I get the message.
Minnesota.
No, because you know what it is like they had to break it up because just people just talking monotonous in the same freaking tone of like a robot, like don't do it. It could get boring. So I get why they did that. But listen, if you got a chance to watch it, it's on Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma. My personal take is you should see it, and turn off some notifications, guys. It's not good.
Just not ours.
And one last thing. One of the most craziest part of it is all these people who created these apps or created a Pinterest and also helped make these programs that make you want to keep going back on there, all said the same thing. They wouldn't let their kids on it. I was like, God damn it, I messed up already.
And my favorite part was when they said that they got addicted to the app that they built.
Yeah.
The guy who made Pinterest, he was like, I was coming home and I was stuck on Pinterest because I go to work to come home and be a product of the thing that I'm selling.
Yeah, man, it's insane. And I think one of the guys was saying that the addiction to social media was taking away himself from his wife, his kids. And I don't think it's that serious for a lot of people, right? But if you're one of these people where you realize you're coming home from work and your face is on the on the computer or on your phone, and you got kids and a wife or a husband, maybe you need to just put the phone down for a second, huh? So again, for me, I say you should see it because it's a good message and it's something you should know about what's going on with these apps. They're not, like Al just said, man, if you are not paying for the product, you are the product. Al, what's your thoughts on The Social Dilemma?
Definitely agree. I think they should watch it, but don't go too serious. Like, because some people will watch a documentary and then all of a sudden, they'll spout it like as if it's a cure for everything. Just listen to the point that they're making and hear it. You don't have to agree with it, but there are a lot of valid points that they're making in terms of what these apps and the makers of the apps are trying to do. So just listen to it, absorb it, take it for what it is. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to believe that that's you. It may not be you. Like we said, the three of us aren't really heavy onto the social networks and like obsessed with it. But I have seen people, and unfortunately, it's a lot of the younger generation. In my job, they come in, with their families, and you see them not take their eyes off of it. And if you do, they get angry. So there is some truth to what these people are saying in the show. So definitely watch it, because if you're not into it, it's good to know what is happening out there in the world. Absolutely.
Brandon, your take on The Social Dilemma?
I agree. I think, like just Al said, I think you should watch it, inform your own opinion on the matter. I think if you are someone who uses all sorts of social media. You know, there's people who just use Instagram to look at pictures, this and that. I think you're someone who has an account on all these social media bases. Maybe take a time to reflect on your usage and how maybe you can take more time off the screen, you know, just for your personal self of things. You know, I hate to say, you know, I'm a teacher. Not that I hate to say I'm a teacher, but I'm a teacher, and I've seen it with the younger generation. You know, a lot of the issues that happen in school aren't even because of things that happen in school anymore. It's because of what's happening on social media. And it's a hard thing to deal with because it changes the mindset, and it's a whole different atmosphere that sometimes you can't even help because what you're saying doesn't make sense to the kid at the time. You know, they're not at that age to understand that level of conversation, like where you can tell someone, well, you don't have to believe what social media is telling you. You're not that, you know, it's not the end all be all, but it's what they know right now. You know, so a lot of the things you're saying might not make sense to these kids. And it's a hard thing to grasp and deal with and try and help a lot of these kids because they're not at the level of maturity to really grasp that yet. So I do say, you know, to really be careful with how you approach it with your children, you know, and try and educate as you can. And, you know, like I said, it's hard to educate people who aren't of that mindset yet. So try your best to educate your kids on the usage of it. There are safe ways to use social media. You know, everyone's going to be a product. Yes, you're all products of something somewhere. You know, educate your families, educate yourself, and inform your own decisions.
Yeah. Perfect, man. Well said, man. Well, listen, man, that's going to be our podcast for tonight, man. We thank you guys, as always, for listening to our podcast. If you are not subscribed, hit that button below. Subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, you know, subscribe to our podcast. We do a weekly show here about different movies and movie topics, and we go over the weekly movie news as well. So, listen, coming out of New York, we're going to say goodnight from my brother B.
Au revoir.
From our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And myself, Hob. We wish you the best, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Until next time.